This is a story about a miracle and a weapon. About a technology that could save a country from climate collapse. But in doing so, might condemn its neighbors to starvation. This isn't science fiction. The science is real. And the first nation to deploy it might not be who you think. Welcome to FUTURSTATE. I'm Mr. Future. Imagine a world where a single nation, facing an existential heat wave, decides to take control of its own weather. Not by reducing emissions, but by hacking the sky itself. This is solar geoengineering, specifically stratospheric aerosol injection. The principle is deceptively simple. Spray reflective sulfate particles into the upper atmosphere to form a microscopic sun shield, bouncing a fraction of sunlight back into space. The local temperature drops. Crisis averted. But the atmosphere doesn't respect borders. What if that engineered cooling redirects the monsoon rains that feed half a continent? What if it plunges a rival's breadbasket into perpetual drought? Today, we dive into the terrifyingly plausible scenario of the first unilateral geoengineering state. We'll explore the tech, trace the catastrophic chain reaction, and ask the ultimate question. In a world on fire, could the cure be worse than the disease? The blueprint for this doesn't come from a sci-fi novel. It comes from volcanoes. When Mount Pinatubo erupted, it was a natural, unintentional test of the concept. The resulting sulfate cloud cooled the planet. Scientists saw it and asked, what if we could do that on purpose and with control? The engineering hurdles are surprisingly low. We have the planes. We have the particles. The annual cost is a fraction of what nations spend on military defense. For a wealthy, desperate nation facing coastal flooding or agricultural ruin, the calculus becomes terrifyingly simple. Pay a little, cool a lot. Save ourselves. But control is the illusion. We are inserting a brute force fix into the most complex system on Earth, the global climate. And like any hack, there will be bugs, glitches. And in this case, the glitches are called famine, flood, and war. This is where the miracle curdles. Nation A's politicians sold this as a local fix. But physics doesn't do local in the stratosphere. The immediate side effect: you steal the rain. By cooling your own region, you can shift massive planetary weather patterns. The lifeline is South Asia. The monsoon could falter or move. The wheat fields of North America could wither. You haven't just cooled your country. You've weaponized the hydrological cycle against your neighbors. And the long-term bugs are even worse. You might be re-drilling a hole in the ozone layer. You're definitely acidifying the upper atmosphere. But the most terrifying risk is the termination shock. Once the world becomes dependent on that artificial sun shield, turning it off isn't an option. The pent-up warming would hit in a decade, not a century, causing societally crushing climate whiplash. You've created a planetary addiction to your hack. So what happens when nation B's rivers run dry and its people starve? They won't see a scientific paper. They'll see an act of war. The 1948 UN Convention on Environmental Modification, (INMOD), is flimsy and outdated. There is no playbook for this. We could see climate refugees met with climate fortresses, accusations of climatic aggression leading to sanctions, cyber attacks on geoengineering infrastructure, or even conventional strikes to ground the fleet. The nation that controls the thermostat holds unprecedented power and paints a target on its back. This isn't a distant future. The first major test could be just one devastating climate disaster away. When Miami is facing existential flooding, will the U.S. Congress debate the ethics? Or will they vote for the Sky Shield Act? The climate hacker scenario forces us to confront our deepest political instincts. In a crisis, do we retreat behind national borders and techno fixes, even if they endanger others? Or do we find a way to cooperate on a planetary scale? Solar geoengineering isn't inherently evil. In fact, as a globally governed last resort to shave off the worst peak of warming, it might be a tragic necessity. But as a unilateral tool, it's a recipe for a new kind of conflict, a Cold War fought by altering the very heat of the planet. The real danger isn't the science, it's the politics. It's the moment a leader decides that their people's survival justifies a gamble with the world's climate. That moment may be closer than we think. What do you think? Is unilateral geoengineering an inevitable future or a line we must never cross? Would you support your country doing it if you were facing disaster? Let's discuss in the comments. This is just the first transmission. Next video, we're diving into something even stranger, the dark forest theory, why aliens might be hiding. So make sure you don't miss it. Hit subscribe and that notification bell, because the future isn't just happening. It's being built, hacked, and fought over. And understanding it starts here. I'm Mr. Future, and you're watching FUTURSTATE. Stay curious.